Welcome to episode 2 of MSPs for Security Integrators. My name is Ronen Isaac, co-founder of The Boring Lab and an upcoming MSP called Continental Computers. And with me today again is John Minnix with Brightlio. Hey, John.
Hey, Ronen, great to be here. I see your wife dressed you in a plaid shirt today too, huh?
I don't know what I'd do without her, to be honest with you.
Well, we're looking good today.
Absolutely. So in last episode, we talked just in general about what an MSP is, what the MSP business model looks like, how it compares with the traditional break-fix business model. But in today's discussion, we'll do a little bit of a deep dive into what the MSP business model looks like, how it differs from a traditional break-fix or project-based business model, and what are the benefits and absolutely what are the challenges of the MSP business model.
Sounds great.
Perfect. So, John, can you share with us just a brief overview of what we discussed last time, which was what is an MSP, and we'll go from there.
Absolutely. I think, an MSP is really a monthly reoccurring service. You're billing your customers monthly, and in exchange, you're delivering a service level agreement and a set of commitments where you're going to be monitoring, managing, and maintaining a set of their security or IT infrastructure. And it really is sort of a alternative to project-based or fixed fee-based work.
And the core components of an MSP, if you had to bullet it out for us.
Yeah, I would say you've got your people. So, your smart technical engineers that are going to be supporting your customers. You've got your tools. Typically, these are going to be ticketing and alerting systems that you're going to use to manage your customers. And then you've got your processes, most importantly being your service catalog. So kind of a well-defined service catalog that outlines exactly what the offering includes.
That's perfect. So let's go into the traditional service model with break-fix and project-based. Can you share some of the challenges with that traditional service model?
Yeah, so I think the biggest challenge with a break-fix service model is you're typically either too busy or too slow. So it's hard to get your staffing well aligned. I think a lot of times you'll have a big influx of projects and everyone will be slammed. And then you'll have weeks or quarters where it's just not busy enough and it's hard to find stuff for people to do. I don't know if you found that in your own business, Ronen, but that's always what I found. I
absolutely found that in our own business. The spiky nature of the traditional break-fix is a challenge for sure.
And I think it makes it difficult for the business to scale. You want to be able to build a business that's scalable and repeatable. And that break-fix nature of the business is just very, very lumpy.
The last thing maybe that's slightly challenging is that because you don't have a contract with these customers, lack of customer loyalty. Have you found that as being an issue when you're just really selling them things instead of really embedding yourself in their business?
I think that's 100% true. It's difficult to build a long-term customer relationship. And I think it's also difficult to set expectations because even though you don't have a defined agreement with the customer in a break-fix model, customers typically expect that when you call, you'll be available to help them right away. And as business owners, we know that we're not staffed for that. And we also haven't committed to that and the customer's not paying for it. But the customer typically expects to get it, whether they're paying for it or not.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that, but that's absolutely true. So taking those considerations or challenges into mind, how does the MSP business model fix those?
So with an MSP business model, you've got a very clear set of expectations between you and the customer as to what's going to be delivered on a monthly basis. And then you're going to get paid monthly for that service. And as you build your practice, you should be able to predict with fairly regular certainty how many hours each agreement is going to consume. In some months, an agreement is going to be more costly than other months, and that's just sort of the nature of the business. But you should be able to predict the number of engineering hours you need to support your practice, and you're paying for those engineering hours every month through the customer's monthly service fee. So it allows you to build a business that's less spiky, more scalable, and ultimately more valuable as well, because a MSP business is much more valuable if you were to sell your business than as a fixed fee or a professional services practice.
That's a good point. I didn't think about the building value and then actually exiting the business if that is your desire as you build your MSP practice. The one thing that it also does is it does build that loyalty with the customer, right? And they'll always think of you first when it comes time to grow and scale their own business. So that's always something that I found has been very beneficial for the companies that we've contracted with.
No, that's absolutely true, because you're working with them every day. Your engineers are touching their environment all the time. There's a lot of upsell opportunities, and it's just a very sticky engagement.
Indeed. So we talked about the good things about transitioning into an MSP, but there's definitely some challenges that I want to be sure to put out there. It's not all roses. So John, you've successfully done this transition with your previous business. Tell us some of the challenges that you guys have faced and potentially how you got around them.
So I would say the biggest challenge you're going to see is staffing. Your employees today are probably not expected to be responding to tickets 24/7, and sort of making that transition with some of your current employees is challenging. A lot of times you're going to need to bring in new folks that have sort of a different expectation as to how the customers are going to be supported in order to be successful. So I would say making that initial jump, especially when you don't have customers or you have one or two customers, being able to staff for those 24/7 customer expectations is a challenge. So I would put that at the top of the list. I would also say, having a well-defined service catalog, and this really just takes discipline by you as the business owner on the front end, is critically important, because we all want to say yes to the customer and we want to get new customers and we're excited about our managed services business. But if you take a bunch of one-offs that are in your managed services space and you combine them together, you basically eliminated your ability to scale. And one of the primary benefits is the scalability.
Correct.
And if you have 25 one-offs and everyone's supporting someone slightly different, it really becomes a headache. So I think defining that service catalog up front and being disciplined as to how you sell customers is very important.
One of the other things that I found was challenging was we actually had to step back and start denying business for a period of time. We called it our building year, to really kind of think through how we're going to provide the service, how we're going to standardize the service, and what are our processes moving forward. And that's maybe not something that everybody wants to do. You have to continue to accept a level of project business, but at the same time, reserve enough of your capacity to actually build the MSP practice up.
We did the same thing. I think it was 2017. We decided we wanted to build an MSP, and we basically accepted, hey, this year the business is probably not going to grow, but we're going to put in place some awesome tools and some great business processes, and we're going to start building out a really scalable MSP business model. And ultimately, that allowed us to sell our business for a much greater value than we would have had we not taken that pause. So you do have to accept a little bit of pain on the front end to build your MSP business model, but it's definitely worth it, financially in the long run.
Perfect. So we talked about traditional business model. We talked about the challenges of the traditional business model, how the MSP business model kind of fixes those challenges or helps you get around those challenges with the traditional business model, and some of the challenges with making that transition. But we do hope that, this episode has encouraged some of our listeners or watchers in this case to actually explore the MSP business model, look into how they might start making that transition and how it could benefit them and their customers and hopefully their staff. So thank you, John, for spending episode 2 with me, and I look forward to doing this again.
All right, we're wearing tuxedos for episode 3, Ronen.
You got it, man. I got my white tuxedo and ruffle shirt ready in the wings.
I'll be there. Let's do it.
All right, buddy. See ya.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.